Hello everyone, Mark here. Welcome back to my garage. Well, guess what? I've got a new tool. Yeah, I know I promised that the next video would be another part in the PM research, but thanks to a very, very, very generous viewer of mine, one of you guys watching right now hopefully, made me an offer I couldn't really refuse on a new piece of kit for the garage. So let me swing you round and you will be able to see what it is. So, as you can probably tell from the type of lineup that this is, it is a milling machine. Yes, it is a vertical milling machine. It is a door Westbury type machine, so the way the head and motor assembly fits on here, it's a single tube bar that comes through, so you've got your pivot on the head as well for doing sideways angles or whatever you need to do. Very nice machine. It has adjustable nuts to remove backlash, which is amazing. The screws, there's only about 7 thou at most, I'd say, of backlash in the screws, which is insanely good. And what's more, they feel so nice. I mean, these screws, they glide. I mean, it is gorgeous, this thing. There's no real play in the thing. The the column travel works brilliantly. It uses a nice little jack handle here to lift it up and down, which is nice. Better than the door Westbury, which has the screw thing here, because you put an awful lot of leverage on those to be able to raise the column up because of the weight, obviously, up here. So to have it where it's a side crank instead to lift it up and down, just in my opinion, makes more sense to be able to lift it up and down with. It's just a better all-round design than the genuine door Westbury, in my opinion. Not to mention, it's to me anyway, from what I could tell in the short time I've had to play with it now, it's actually more heavily built, much more solid than an actual door Westbury, which is quite nice indeed. So this video is going to be a little bit of footage of me reassembling the top half of it, because obviously I had to dismantle it to bring it home. And then I'll bring you up closer and take you through every little aspect of it, piece at a time. So let's get on with it. Next step really is to slide the head into this bore. So let's get on with that, shall we? So first up, make sure these nuts on the top here are loose, which they are. Now I'm going to grab some cloth, because I want to be able to wipe out these bores, clean them out. This bore, rather, just because it's like I put some nice fresh oil on it. I'm going to use, I think I'm going to use some whey oil to be able to do this, because it's obviously a bit thicker, but not too thick to cause issues. So this should work quite nicely for what I need. That bore is nice and clean now. Now I've got the heavy bit. I've got to lift up the head, which is not the lightest thing in the world. Put this in the bin. There we go. I've got my oil can here ready. Let's start off by putting some in this bore. There we go. Let's just get that all round there. Get that nice and lubricated, because I want this to be really nice. I don't want it ever to risk seizing in this bore, because that would really suck. I've seen many a horror story where people have had to remove seized things to be able to get them in, and my God, I don't want to ever have to deal with that. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the correct size for the column height, loosen off the column, and then lower it down to be able to then just basically stand the head on here and slide it in to take the weight. It's just going to be simpler. It's just going to make life a lot simpler to be able to do it that way, I think. So let's loosen those off. Let's bring this head down. Now it requires, because there's not the weight of the actual unit in it right now, it needs some weight down on it to pull it down, because it's a very tight fit, especially with the oil and things in it. So if I bring this down a decent way, I mean, it'll go down a very long way. It'll go all the way down, which is very nice. So let's just get that there. Then I want something to stand on the bed, because I don't want just to stand the spindle nose directly on the bed, because that would not do it much good at all. So I've got my foam kneeling mat over here, which will prove quite useful, I think, for this. If I grab that, oh blimey! Hope I'm still in frame, guys. And then if I pop that on there, I don't know if you can see that. No, you can't. So it's just my little foam mat down here. So if I now bring the camera down so you can see what I'm doing. There we go. So I've just put that on there so that I can stand the spindle nose on here. So it'll dig into here, but that's fine. That's what this is for. And it'll protect the bed and the nose, because this is soft to take the weight. Because I also then want to be able to lube up and clean the shaft off. So there is the head itself. It's a weighty bugger. So next step actually is I'm just going to lay it down on the side on here, so I can clean this shaft off, the actual overhead shaft, so I can give it a proper clean and then a fresh oil before I slide it in. Because once I've got the head on, I'm going to take the cross slide off and lubricate the ways, because I want to make sure that the ways are nice and cleaned and then freshly lubricated with some whey oil, because as the guy who sold me it pointed out, he cleaned it all up for me, removed all the excess oil off it and grease so that it wasn't too messy for me to transport, because that can prove very annoying. You fill the back of your car with oil and grease. I mean, yes, I've covered the car in I put a sheet down in the back of the car, but that's the main thing. So let's get that all nicely coated up. It'll also help make sure, obviously, that it doesn't cause any rusting issues on the thing. There we go. So now the tricky bit, to get this stood up once again, which is fun because it's quite the heavy bit. Stand it down. There we go. I can just slide that in there, like so. Oh, look at that. Well, that was relatively painless. I'm actually quite pleased with how well that went in. Actually, I'm very impressed with how well that went in. I want it to be fairly well back to the column, so about there should do. Obviously this will need tramming, I appreciate that. Let me grab the Allen key. You won't be able to see this very well because I can barely see it myself. Just tighten up these overarms clamps for the moment. I don't care what angle it's in right now, my head's completely covering his shot. I apologise for that. Let's see if I can... Sadly, there's not enough room in my garage to get the camera behind this machine. If there was, trust me, I'd have put the camera there so you could see properly. But that is now locked that in place rather nicely, which is fantastic. And while I've got it there, I'm just going to lock the column height off as well, so it's not relying entirely on the screw. because right now I'm going to leave it at this height while I put the motor assembly on, because it's at a good height for lifting the motor up, which is a heavy piece of kit. So there we go. That is all now bolted in place. Next step now is to put that motor assembly there on, which is going to be a fun part, shall we say, because it's probably, apart from the head, it's one of the most heavy parts of the whole kit. So let me figure out the best and safest way of doing this, and then try and get you a better camera angle and bring you back. So hopefully that's a better camera angle for you guys to see this. This is an awkward bugger, this thing. Because this motor weighs a bin ton. Of course it does. Why wouldn't it? I tell you, this thing, I swear, she's heavier than the mill head, which is most funny. So let me get this how I need it, which is like that. Pick it up, bring it over, and get that in there like that. Oh, well, that was actually relatively painless. I'm quite surprised how easy that was, which is quite amazing, really. Now I just need to get these in line, because obviously if the motor's like off like that, it ain't gonna, the belts ain't gonna work properly. So I just need to get this in line. So that's falling over, so that's clearly not in line. That's not quite either. Let's try that. That doesn't want a free swing, it does slightly that way. Let's try that. That seems about right. So it would be tensioned there, at that. What I need to do is, I wish I had a longer straight edge. I don't have one, which is not. Oh, hold on, I've got a spirit level. That works as a straight edge. Where's my spirit level? There it is. I've got a big long, that's what you call a straight edge, that, isn't it? Let's see if I can actually get this to sit where I need it to sit without anything interfering. So that would be there. So that is actually, I don't know if you can see the bubble, but that is actually completely level. And if I come in this side, that is also completely level. So that now is in the position it needs to be. If I come in with an adjustable and tighten that nut in, this one here, making sure not to send me spirit level flying, because I don't like to destroy spirit levels. It's not my favourite hobby. That locks that in place, and now in theory that doesn't rotate anymore. So that now, oh, I've got wicked gas tonight, guys. That now locks that in place. So that is that, which is rather nice. That's rather nice, that. Okay, so there it is. I've got the belt on now. That's on its lowest speed currently, so that's set up for now. Need to adjust the belt tension ever so slightly, which is fine. I think what I'm probably going to do is there's some you can't see them, but there's some either nylon or Delrin blocks down this side in here that you use the cam plate adjusts against. What I'm going to do, I think, is just shorten those down slightly, so then I can have this be looser, because they've got plenty, as you can see, plenty of screw travel here to be able to tighten it, so I can then tighten it for where it needs to be at this top belt position. Just going to require a little bit of fettling, really, that's all. Let's move my protective mat out of the way. Always good to move that out of the way. Now, that is that all on. Now, I need to connect this up, because this is the return spring for the Quill treble. So, it's currently locked off, so I need to somehow carefully get this to come across here, which is going to be fun without taking my eye out. So first things first, let's take this nut out. Off there, like that. Lift that off there. See, there's not much thread on that. So this is going to be fun, to say the least, but what's life without a little bit of more fun in there? Ow, that hurt. It's going to spring off in a sec. There we go. Like that. Bugger! You bastard. Jesus, this thing's a tricky bitch. Come on. Stop being a little bitch. Oh, that cut me quite nicely, that did. What's life without a little blood, eh? Life without a little blood. Oh, let's make that bleed. Make sure there's no bugs or germs in that. Get that out of there. I'll be right back. Just got to deal with this. So after a bit of fettling and off camera, it's now the next day. I decided instead to just make a whole new screw top to this thing. So it threads on to the top. It's a bit of brass that I just turned. I did it off camera. I know I didn't show you, but it's because, to be brutally honest, I wasn't sure it was going to work. So, but I'm glad it did. So what I did is I just turned this down. I've got this other piece of brass over here, actually. Just another piece of brass. Just turn it down to a nice diameter on the outside, so that the ring of this ring would fit over the top nicely, and then have it drilled and tapped inside with the right thread for the same as the motor mount, and then just put the just screwed it on and just cut a groove in there that's the actual hoop fits over nice and deeply. It actually fits flush. It actually sits in flush at the back, so it's actually flush with the outside, so it's a nice proper solid mount for it. So that is now the business for that. And the way it works, as you can see, if I track it through, it comes through, and then you can't really see, but it goes over a pulley just here, to then this wire comes down to the quill, and then provides spring return for the quill. So it works as intended. It does exactly what I need it to do. So that works perfectly. That I'm really happy with how that turned out. Just came to me in a brainwave last night, because after I buggered up my thumb yesterday, I decided not to try and pursue the weird, stupid way it was mounted before, because that was nowhere near safe. So this is a much better way of doing it. So the next thing I want to do now is I want to take the cross slide off, the table off rather, take this off, so I can flip it up and completely coat the ways in a nice fresh whey oil. I'm not going to take the saddle off, purely and simply because it looks a bit of a nightmare to get off. It looks quite complicated when I look down at it. Yeah, it's a little tricky, that, by the looks of it. So I'm not going to faff around with that. Although actually, tell a lie, I think it'll just screw off the front. Yeah, let's see if it'll do that. Let me move these Allen keys out of the way. I'll just put this transfer punch back I was testing something out with. Let's see if it'll just... First of all, let's take the table off. Why the hell is a spring there? I don't know. So let's start by winding this table out. This is where you need some time-lapse music, isn't it? Just to have this whirring away. Tell you what, I'll unscrew it and to the end, and then bring you back. Okay, let's get this thing plugged into power. I've got an extension cable here. It'll work quite nicely for it. Bring it over the top here. So I've got a nice extension cable. So let's start off with the tachometer. Let's plug this thing in. Which hopefully should illuminate the display on the front. If not, then I'll do some troubleshooting. Let's see if that's on. It is. I think you guys can see that. There we go. Yeah, it's got the flicker rate because the refresh rate is apparently just right for the nice 60 FPS that I film in, which is typical. So that's good. Now let's plug in the mill itself. There we go. That's in. Okay, now as you can see, it's a really advanced switch on this thing. You know, it's incredibly advanced with lots and lots of safety features. So let's just come past. Belt's a good tension. And let's start her going. There she spins. Nice and quiet. She sounds beautiful. No rattling. The speed's working. It's showing, yep, about 320-ish kind of speed, which is what the writing up here also says. And if I release if I come back round, then I wind this down. That's working. There's no weird noises as I move it as well, which is always a bonus. I don't want weird noises while it's spinning. So that's beautiful. That's running rather nicely. Let's wind that back up to 0. Oh, that's nice, that. Back up to nothing, which is there. Wonderful. Disengage the fine feed and then, yep, Quill works absolutely beautifully. That is wonderful. Right, let me come back again, turn that off. Its brake works. Its brake's a little squeaky, but that's fine. I'm going to change the belt position. So let's change that up a notch. Let's change that to the next belt position, which is that one. Should be up one notch on here. If I can get it to go up one notch on here. There we go. And let's just tension that as well. So there we go. That's nicely tensioned now again on the next belt position. So in theory, this should be around 500, 530, 550 kind of speed. Let's give this a shot. Let's see. There it is. Yeah, that's a nice around the right sort of speed as well, which is fantastic. I'm going to wind the table back across a bit so that I don't keep walking into the table. There we go. So that's working rather nicely. Quill working fine. It's a bit juddery. With higher speed, there's a bit of a judder on the Quill feed. Something I need to sort out. I've just noticed, I hadn't seen that before, there's actually graduations on the Quill there for your depth stop, which is quite handy. So that's really nice. So that works nice. Yep, that works beautifully. Let's try the next belt position. Which is there. There we go. Okay, this should be 760-ish in theory. There it goes. Nice, that's nice. Yep, the display's working beautifully. It definitely prefers that speed, so it's not so happy. There must be a resonant point here with everything in the spindle or whatever, because the Quill feels much smoother at 760 as well, which is good. So at least I know that. Running nice. Let's turn that off. Let's try the next one. Which this should be, I'm unsure actually, this one should be just over 1,000. Let's tension that up. There we go. Let's give this a whirl. There she blows. Yep, that's looking very good. Nice and fast, working as it should. Tachometer's working correctly. Quill feels nice. That's lovely. Yeah, nice and quiet and smooth still. Motor's not getting hot at all. So that's nice. Let's try it on its fastest. Let's speed that up to its top notch. And tension that again. There we go. So this in theory should be roughly 1450, according to this anyway. Let's find out. Which it is. That's running really well. Quill feels nice. Tachometer's reading correctly too. Beautiful. So that's running like a charm, that. Now I want to slow this down a bit, purely because I don't have a need for running it that fast right now. So I'm actually going to drop this down to, let's drop it down to 760, which is the third belt position, which is there. So this one should be about 760 when that reads. Yep. Quill still feels nice. So yeah, that Quill's still good, that. That's lovely, that. That's beautiful, that. I'm still loving the squeak that it gives. The squeak that it gives when the brake kicks in on the motor, that's quite cute. What I am going to do is actually now, I'm going to drop it down to its slowest. I can get this off without cutting my fingers off. When it's on its slowest belt position, purely and simply because I want to try the back gear. So I want it spinning on its slowest, so I can see just how slow I can get this thing to go. So let's start by, under here there's a pin you have to pull. You just have to kind of get this into the right position. There we go. So that's now the back gear engaged. And there's 2 pins up here. Pull these 2 pins out, disengage that. So now in theory, as I spin that, that should now be running at its slowest possible RPM. Put those in there so I don't lose them. Let's come around here. That's all engaged. See how she goes. So it's a little noisy at that position, but it's still running. Quill still works just fine. So that's perfect for doing like slow, big boring. So that's perfect. That is absolutely perfect. And then to disengage this, if I come back around here, because apparently I like getting in the way of the camera because I'm great at camera work. You just slide that lever across and you just take your pins until you find the slot that they drop into. I should be able to find at some point. I can find the bloody hole. That's the problem. It's this bit's a bit of the faff. This bit's the tricky bit. By gum, this thing's annoying. Trying to get this to go in is the annoying part. There it is. You just have to keep spinning it until it finally lines up, and then the other pin is directly across from it. It drops in, then we're back to full-on direct drive. So I kick it on, and there we are, back in direct drive mode again, working like a charm. So the cable's not warm either. That's nice. So that is working an absolute treat. Oh, that is beautiful. One beautiful machine. I haven't got the vise for it yet. That'll be coming soon. So I can't do really any test chips, I'm afraid, for you today. But I'm giving you an overview of the machine, how it all assembles and how it runs. Giving you the reassembly and all the jig that goes along with that. So there we have it. My nice new mill. Thank you very much once again to my anonymous viewer who wishes to remain anonymous on video for selling me this wonderful, wonderful mill. Well, I'm happy. That's the main thing. I'm happy. Yeah, like I said, thank you once again to the viewer who sold me this. I really do appreciate it, and it is a wonderful machine. I'm glad you offered it to me. The next video, I'm hoping to actually be, as I promised, the next part in the milling machine kit. Yeah, I'm looking forward to trying it. Like I said, I'm going to do some lathe work in this one. I'm hoping to do the main spindle, which would be, it's going to be interesting to say the least. That I need to get the tolerances just right on that, which is going to be fun. So, thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you really liked it and you want to see more of my content, make sure you click that subscribe button, then turn on notifications by clicking that little bell symbol as well. That really helps a lot. Thank you very much, everyone. Stay safe, and I will see you next time. Cheerio.